Welcome to Synder of the Universe. I'm Cynder. This is my universe, and this is day 4 of eating sardines. I know it was a 3-day sardine challenge, but I still failed a little bit. And I say fail. I like to say fail. I know it's not the best word to use, but anyway, in any case. Couldn't stay out of the cherries. I stayed out of the peaches. Couldn't stay out of the cherries. Didn't have a lot of cherries. Wasn't a big problem. Didn't notice a huge shift. Okay. Managed to stay out of carbs. Amazing compared to what I have been. Lost 3 pounds and woke up the other day, yesterday, in fact, and my daughter said, "You look really young today." And I was like, "You can tell me that every day. That was wonderful. Thank you." And she's like, "No, seriously, you look really young." I'm like, "No, seriously, I believe you," because, they don't tell me anything that, they're very straightforward, literal speaker, very similar to me. And they can be, they can not be blunt. They're capable, socially capable, but when it comes to communicating with me, I prefer blunt and straightforward, literal speaking. So that's kind of the communication we've established. And then when I was looking, I was like, "Oh, what looks different?" Well, my inflammation was down in my face, so there was less wrinkles, and there was less bed wrinkles. And I could hold my eye normally without having this droop. So I actually wore eyeliner because my eyelids weren't drooping on the eyeliner. So yay, I was super excited. I had managed to see improvement. And that evening I got so I had a lot of stress in the day, that's for sure. That doesn't help. I still did my PT exercises, and I went for a walk, and the day before I went for a run. Well, it was run, walk, one of those things, but I'm doing progressive running. So I run for 30 seconds at a set cadence pace. I'm not saying that right, I don't think. Anyway, run for 30 seconds and then walk for 2, and then that changes. And I have an email that I'm supposed to look at that I still haven't done because it's been so hard for me to actually get myself to run for 30 seconds. When I was like, okay, I managed to get myself to go for a walk every day. Finally, right? Anyway, so I was feeling kind of spunky the day before yesterday, and me and my kiddo went for a walk run, and that was our goal, was the walk run. And they're like, "Okay, well, I'm just going to jog the whole time." And I was like, "Well, we won't be doing it together because no. Anyway, so we did do it together. And then, I was trying to keep in my set beats per minute cadence, and they're just free running. And I was just I was looking at their form going, "You've had PE for how long? And why hasn't anyone taught you how to run?" No wonder there's been problems breathing and running for long periods of time and trying to do all the requirements. Anyway, another topic for another time. But so I was trying to show them how to hold your body and how to keep your feet under you, and you have to move your whole body with you, and you don't want to bounce up and down. I'm not going to go into crazy detail about running. I'm not an expert, mind you. And so I'm showing them, and okay. And then I was like, "Oh, so this is what it looks like when you run. Watch me run." And my top speed running over my whole life, and I used to run beside my dad's car, and we had this long stretch of road before he hit the main road. So it was our neighborhood road. And we were in Darrington, Washington, which is mountains, So we were on this flat strip, but everywhere else is mountains. Anyway, he would run. He had a Mazda Miata, so that was fun too. And he would usually roll down the window or have the top down. And I would run as fast as I can, and he would clock me with the car. And so my top running speed was 18 miles per hour, And I could keep that up for about a minute tops at that time. Now, I haven't been perfect about clocking my speed all the time, my whole entire life. And that was back when I was 10. Okay, I was 10. So, anyway, I haven't actually picked up the pace to like straight out sprint in a very long time because I've been dealing with like chronic fatigue syndrome, MES, CFS, I forgot what MES stands for. And so when I go all out, I'm usually out for days, if not weeks, if not have crazy symptoms, develop a migraine, who knows what else. It's been a nightmare. But I was feeling spunky, and I managed to do some running, and I've been doing it periodically here and there. So I decided, I was like, I'll go for a sprint and show them what a good running form looks like. And so I just took off, and it was fast. Like I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Like my body still can do it now anyway. I have been doing PT exercises. And then kiddo comes back up and was like, no, I can't do that. I was like, no, that's what you're supposed to aim for. Like, I have actually been training myself in physical, for a long time. And before I had discovered that I had Elhers-Danlose, before I discovered and all the things that come with Elhers-Danlose, and that's another video, so I won't go crazy much into it, but it even got worse, because as you get older, things start deteriorating, and Elhers-Danlose gets worse and worse and worse. Anyway, and of course, when I first got into Elhers-Danlose, I had a few friends, and they were like, okay, these are the key things you need to watch out for, and one of them was cranial instability, cervical cranial instability. I was like, and all the different neck instabilities, and I was like, I've been martial arts, horseback riding, heavy manual labor, yard work, building houses, building sheds, just doing physical, and that's another kind of identity crisis I had, but that's another story. Anyway, I was like, no way. Instability, no, I'm obviously fine. I'm fine. But of course, it's one of those, you live your whole life the way you are. You don't know any difference. You don't know. Don't know at all. Anyway, well, come to find out, I do have cranial neck instability. I have cervical cranial instability, and it started getting really, really bad to where I was having serious migraines every single day, and having neurological issues. And of course, it was first like, oh well, you've been diagnosed with dysautonomia. Yeah, I could do a whole video ranting about diagnosing clinical pictures. That's not a diagnosis, that's a clinical picture. And that's, you have dysautonomia means that your autonomic system is not working, functioning correctly, or at its just correctly. I mean, I would like mine to thrive and function optimally, but it's been really difficult to get medical professionals to be to understand that I want to thrive and be functioning optimally. They're just like, wow, you're doing so much better than all my other clients, all my other patients. So, you're fine. I'm the easy patient. I'm like, I'm also the freaking easy patient. I will do the hard work. I will do the thing. And eventually some things are really hard. It takes a while to get your behaviors in check. And there's lots of variables, but I will actually do the thing. I will actually eat sardines for 3 days. Okay. Anyway, I digress on my thing. Where was I going with this? Oh, kiddo told me I was gliding. They said I was glide. It looked like I didn't even touch the ground. That I was moving so incredibly fast. And so I was like, well, thanks for your acknowledgement. Feels nice. Yeah. It could be worse. They're coming into the teenage years. It could get worse, I'm sure, but it's feeling pretty nice right now when I wake up and they're like, wow, you look way younger today. So it's very encouraging to continue on my trek. Anyway, so yesterday was my day 3 of eating only sardines, and we go for a walk, And I am incredibly sore and having some, what I feel like is some CFS, MES, whatever the heck, fatigue symptoms. And I'm like, I'm struggling to walk up my stairs to get to the mid floor of the house we're on. And like our little route that me and kiddo walk is like half a mile. So we usually do 2 of them. Actually, 2 of them is exactly 8.2 of a mile. So we're trying to figure out how to make it a full mile at least. Anyway, so I'm just walking this time, and our neighborhood is full of really cool people. Like, I haven't even met half of them, honestly. I'm not the neighbor that goes around and knocks on people's doors and gives them cookies, though I could be. And this is why we're doing wide today, because hi, Bear. Kitty. Yeah, he's pleased. He wants some company. I knew he was gonna come join me, so I left him a spot on the camera. Hi, babies. Oh, I get the paw, but you can't see the paw. Well, there's this one house that is like a secret garden. I don't know if anybody else has watched, started as a book, then they made a movie called The Secret Garden, and I loved that kind of stuff when I was little. Anyway, the yard is fenced off, but when you look in there, they have a fig tree, they have an apple tree, they have a cherry tree, they have a lilac bush that looks like it's been there for almost 25, 30 years. I mean, the biggest round is this big, and it's a white miniature lilac bush. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anyway, and then they have grapes, lavender, and that's about as much as I've spied into the yard. And it looks like, I don't think anybody's living there right now. I think it's one of those, like, the grandparents passed and they're trying to get it squared away to sell or something. Anyway, that's all made up in my head, just what I'm thinking. No, you already ate your food. You don't get my sardines. Interesting enough, he doesn't really care. He thinks he cares, but he doesn't care. Do I need to open up the screen so you have a little bit more? No, you can't. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. I don't have it all set up here. We're not doing our perfect. I started this channel to be raw, unfiltered. Anyway, so this fig tree is so big, and figs are green. So you don't really see it, but when you really look at it, you're like, holy cow, there's just a bazillion. You can't get on my lap right now. I don't want fur in my... He's so cute. I'm just going to have to do a video about Bear. Have to ask my roommates, make sure I'm not copywriting something. No, if I pet you, you're going to get... I'm supposed to be eating sardines. Anyway, so there is this big... He's climbing on my lap. He doesn't understand. No, he doesn't. Like, this. How does I make that comparison? Also, I'm not the best at estimating sizes. We'll just get that out there, really. I have to have comparison to other things. Huge, glorious. And so I reach up and I just kind of gently feel it, and it is so ripe. It's like perfect. So I picked 2 figs, and I have one still. This is the other one I got. Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's 3 days of sardines, so figs have lots of fiber, right? Anyway, so my brain just rationalized all over the place. Figs are high in sugar. Okay, you can't get away from it. And if you eat a dry fig, it's even higher in sugar because the sugar is all concentrated, right? Yeah, figs are high in sugar. It was, when I opened it up, it was beautiful. It was like, it was, I don't think I've had a more delicious fig, but I've never had one straight off the tree before. I didn't even think they grew in Washington, but till like the last 5-6 years is when I was like, oh, wow. Learn more about figs, but that's plants for you. You get on the plant cake and all of a sudden you're just like, wow, the world's amazing. So I enjoyed myself a fig last night. And within 20-30 minutes, I started having aches and pains. My eyelids started swelling. And it's not like I don't have allergies in the same sense. Like, oh yeah, one of the things that comes along with the lovely Ehlers-Danlose is known as the trifecta, and that's Ehlers-Danlose, the connective tissue disorder with mast cell activation disorder, and a dysautonomia type thing. So your autonomic system isn't working correctly, and the most commonly one that gets diagnosed in that is POTS. Postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome. I'm proud of myself for that. That was pretty good. That I probably can't do that again. Anyway, basically, you get up too fast, you get dizzy, and you can actually faint, pass out. If it's too hot outside, then you feel really, really weird and spacey, and you can faint and get flushed. And there's just tons of symptoms that come along with it, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, in my particular case, when I did my tilt table test for the POTS, I didn't make the criteria. So I was diagnosed with dysautonomia, orthostatic intolerance, which you shouldn't diagnose a clinical picture. That's not a diagnosis. And I was kept asking my neurologist, why, what, where, what, how, why, what, where, why, how? What is going on? There's too many systems that go on with the autonomic nervous system. You would think that we could find out, is there an adrenaline? Is it hyperpots? Is it hypopots? There's all these other things. Anyway, that I didn't know at the time. So now I know more, and I'm like, okay, there's lots of questions. What is actually going on with my autonomic system, and why? Is it not just because I have a loose, stretchy connective tissue and it's affecting my, blood and my vessels and veins and everything else? Why? Because mine is weird. It's not quite POTS. It really isn't quite POTS. A lot of times, though, I just say POTS because that's what people know. And then if somebody questions me deeper, I can be like, well, actually, and then go from there. Oh, he's trying from the other side now. Let's get up to the other side. See if we can catch him. He's like, I want up. Oh, my cute paw. Oh, I'm just a princess paw. So floofy. Why don't you go? I made you a chair. Here. Normally he just comes to stand. There he is. Bear, my buddy. Aww. He really does love me. It's so sweet. Never replaces human, though. It's so cute. His human comes home and, oh, I'm changing the direction of the camera. Wow, great audio quality. Anyway, his human comes home and he doesn't want anything else to do with me for a little while. He just wants his buddy. It's adorable. Wow, I digress again. I forgot what I was going for. So I eat the fig. I get a whole bunch of symptoms. I get a lot of the POTSy orthostatic intolerance symptoms. I get a headache. My upper shoulders and back hurt really bad. It's like I have the weight of the world and I just need to go like lay down. Like it physically hurts. And then of course, whenever I get more inflamed, it affects my cervical instability as well. And so then, migraines start happening, and it is not nice to the mental faculties either. Like, I'm not processing quickly. I'm losing my words. I can't really, it's like, I can't do stuff. It's hard to focus. It's hard. And this all started because of like one freaking fig, okay? The only other thing I ate, let me double check myself here. The fig was the new thing. The other big meal I had was I just had steak and butter. I just fried steak up in butter with salt and pepper. Just ate it. Because I was also getting like what I felt was low blood sugar too, like a blood sugar crash. Which I was hoping, and there was another side thought that, that I was trying to rationalize eating this fig was like, I was so low, I was like, maybe if I had some sugar, it would help boost me up some, but it did. I had a little bit more like cognitive, a little bit more, but one of my main goals, I know this is all over the place, so hopefully I'm entertaining. One of my main goals was, he's just putting his head in my hand, like, be like, oh, I love you so much, so cute. One of my goals is to be able to get my body to work on ketones. So I've been supplementing, like I've said in a couple other videos, with Dr. Boz, because I've been following her channel, which I'll try to be good about linking and stuff, and eventually I will probably link and sync up, because she's got some amazing information as far as insulin resistance and sugars, and she's like on top of things. She is on top of it, and she's understanding how the body is functioning fully. Okay, I went to talk to my doctor about blood sugar, and I was saying how I felt like I was crashing at night, and and they said, eat one of those healthy candy bars. Not candy bars, sorry. Eat one of those healthy protein bars that taste like candy bars, And I was just like, when I have one of those carb-loaded protein bars, I am in for a world of hurt. I'm in for a world of hurt. Let alone that they're like, oh, well, we don't have any added sugars. Yay, marketing. Oh, we don't have any, or even if they're like, we're sugar-free, then you look in there and they have erythritol, or the alcohol sugars, or sucralose. And I'm like, haven't we moved on to the knowledge that these fake sugars are actually harming us worse? Like, I get worse symptoms from the fake sugars, and heaven help me if I get into anything with high fructose corn syrup. I could be looking at 3 or 4 weeks of just misery and headaches and headaches and headaches galore. And the whole, if you have a lot of fiber, then it keeps the blood sugar from going straight into your system, that whole concept, right? Maybe that works for other people. It doesn't work for me. Like, if I have carbs, things that turn into sugar, and if I have straight up glucose, like if I put honey in my system, boom, it gets in there. And I think I mentioned it before, I wore a CGM for like 30 days. And that really clued me in. Like, some things where I thought it was like just having a little bit of something wasn't going to be a problem, and I just watched my blood sugar skyrocket. And I wasn't testing my ketones, I wasn't testing my insulin, so I don't know what my insulin was doing, but what my blood sugars were showing me was that I was in fact insulin resistant. And I had what clued me into this was that I was having more and more issues, and so I was like, fine, I go to the doctor, get a blood test, and they test my A1C and my insulin, and I don't have those numbers off the top of my head with me, sorry for that, but maybe I'll do another video about it. And my insulin was like high. It was high enough to be like, hello. And when you have a really high insulin like that, that's telling you that you've got insulin resistance, because your cells are resistant to the insulin, so your body needs to put more insulin in there to try and find cells that aren't resistant so that they can get sugar into the cell, because the cell's like, oh my god, need sugar so bad. And they're all gunked up. Anyway, I will do my best to see if I can grab a link for Dr. Ba's video on some of her blood sugar stuff and put it in the description. If not, just look up Dr. Ba's and blood sugar. Oh, gross. Why is there a fly in here? Go away. How? Is there a window left open? Anyway, moving on from the... I really detest flies. Especially fruit flies. And now I have a very strong grr towards fungus gnats. Yeah, I do not like those guys. No. Guys, gals, none of them. I don't like them at all. Yeah, so that's what my lab results is what clued me in that there was something going on. And then after that, I got a CGM and I was watching my blood sugar. And then I was realizing that some of the things that I thought were okay were not okay. And then I was also seeing like that when my blood sugar did spike, it took several hours, like over 4 hours, for it to come back down to be within the 90s. And then whether I ate sugar, ate carbs, or didn't eat sugar, or didn't eat carbs, like if I had more carbs, it would continue to do big spikes and stuff. But if I was like, whoa, that obviously I want to get that under control. And it was just knowing that my blood sugar had spiked was enough. Also, I would able to attribute my low blood sugar and my high blood sugar to some of the symptoms I was feeling. And guess what? It messes with dysautonomia, aka it messes with POTS really bad, your blood sugar. And so it was correlating to those things. And then the other big thing I noticed was that it took several days of me not getting into sugar or carbs in order to get that even line, and when you look at it every, because it was, I think the CGM checked it every 5 minutes. So when you look at it in the close-up graph, you can see the ups and downs, and there's lots of ups and downs. But when you look at it through the day graph, then you can really see the meal ups and downs, and it's a lot more curvy. And then when you look at it for the 3-day, 4-day week, then you can see the more even line. And I had stuff in, and it just took 3 to 4 days for it to start calming down. Whether I was eating sugar, carbs, or not. And it's not comfortable ride. And I'm a pretty sensitive person, if you could say that, if that's the right term. Don't quote me on that term, whatever. But I'm generally more sensitive than the people around me to what's going on in my body. And on top of that, having all this health stuff, I've had to pay more attention. And then also learning that, I'll have to do a video about that too. But I discovered that I was neurodivergent, like ADHD and autism. Right there, just not even a question. Not even, when I did my assessment, by the time I was done, they were just like, yeah, I knew you were both these when you came in. We did the test to make sure, and yeah, I was right. You're so this. Which was weird, because some of the things that I was like, anyway, I could go over my test experience another time. But there's some proprioception issues in there where it took me a while to realize, I'm feeling something in my body. Where is it? What is it? So I had to learn that over time. And those are things that I've been working on, that in particular, since I was about 16, was when I started having symptoms of things that I was trying to explain. And it's I couldn't figure out how to explain it. So it was I had to learn all these different terms in order to explain where, how in the body, how it feels. Thank goodness for YouTube, because YouTube and the videos, and the other one that was really handy is the Facebook groups, support groups. I learned so much by other people's experiences and how to communicate from other people's experiences and how they related to their physical feelings in their body. And that skyrocketed my ability to figure out what was going on, because I'm in the medical area where there's not a lot. They don't know a lot, and they know a lot more after this big C. After the big C, there was a big amount of population that was dealing with the CFS and MES and like chronic fatigue syndrome, and then like viral. What is it? You get chronic fatigue from like the virus causes that in your body. Oh, and then they had a lot of mast cell activation take off in the patient population. And so then it became more prevalent, and now we're in 2025. And there's a lot more people who understand POTS, Ehlers-Danlose, mast cell activation, CFS, MES, chronic fatigue syndrome, all that. They understand that so much more now. But, like, I don't want to try and do math in my head right now, but it's like I didn't discover I had Ehlers-Danlose until about 2010, 2011. I think I had an inkling about it in 2010, and then I don't think I was fully diagnosed until I was like 2013, 2014. And the knowledge base was not there, and the diagnostic criteria has changed since that point too. So I really was in uncharted waters in the general medical industry, whatever you want to call it. So I really had to figure out a lot of it on my own, and on top of not knowing how to explain things so well too. So that was hard. But I didn't discover neurodivergence until 2023, and I was diagnosed in 2024. So even though I was working on, behavioral aspects and understanding and communication that a lot of autistic and ADHD neurodivergents have to, work in and learn, I was late diagnosed. So a lot of these things were things that I was doing. And thank goodness I have a analytical brain, and I like to think that I'm wise and smart, but I've made some pretty silly decisions too. So, I'm still human. Anyway, this is one of the reasons I've not gone too many videos, is because it's so hard to stay on topic. There's so much to talk about. It's like I gotta write a script, and then that halts me there. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, so my experience with this constant glucose monitor, CGM. Sorry, I didn't clarify that earlier. Hopefully people will get it. Is I noticed that 3 to 4 day window before things start to calm down. And by day 3, that's usually when my sugar cravings are hitting an all-time high. And according to what I was learning from Dr. Boz and her patient population, is that, everybody's a little different. Some people take weeks. Some people can even be months before they calm down or get things under control. But that's why she has a lot of her patients with insulin resistant do a 3-day sardine fast, is because she needs, and she gets them ketones because the cells haven't seen ketones in a super long time. So by supplementing endogenous, like taking in ketones, you're basically giving ketones to all your cells in your body and being like, hey, hello, ketones exist. We've been mostly a glucose-based energy system for a very long time. Here it is, and there's a switchover that happens in carnivore too. And I'm just doing a general talk over this because I'm talking about my 3-day fast here. So that's why I was like, okay, 3-day fast, supplement with ketones. I've been supplementing with ketones for over 2 months now, and at least a little bit every day. So hopefully most of my cells in my body have acknowledged that ketones exist again, and the mitochondria are hopefully waking up. That was the other thing I was working on, is making sure to heal up my damaged mitochondria, because a lot of the issues I was having really did kind of like, there's a metabolic health issue going on here. And I found out I was insulin resistance, and that's one of the definitions for metabolic health anyway. So there you go. One of the things that I'm doing to help the mitochondria too is I looked a lot into Methlyene Blue, and that can be a whole entire video. And I encourage anyone to, definitely don't just take my advice, go look things up. There's lots of information out there, and yada yada, do your research. I almost hate saying that now because I caught myself from going on a tangent about research, because that I can make a whole video about how to research, and there's lots of misconceptions about what is research and how to gather data and yada yada. Anyway, so I've been looking into Methlyene Blue for several years. Trying to think when I think it's been over 10 years, I first heard of Methlyene Blue. And it wasn't until, I want to say this year, maybe the end of 2024, started supplementing with Methlyene Blue. And I noticed a huge benefit. I haven't had anything take that much, give me that much positive change in a very long time. One of the biggest things I noticed that stood out to me was that I was taking a Spanish class. So then I was like, okay, well, let's actually look into this Duolingo thing, because I was having trouble staying focused and wanting to learn Spanish. And the Duolingo is a game, and it has all those little quick matchy games and different types of variety of things. So it was another way to get another 15 to 30 minutes in of Spanish practice for my class. And there's this matchy game in the tournament section. If you have not just the free account, but you have the first level of subscription, you get into the tournaments, and you have these different leagues that you can go up through. And there's different games as well in that tournament section. And one of the games is a matching game. And I love that one because it gives me the English version with the Spanish version. And then I just kind of match them up. And you have certain time limits, and there's three sections so you start the little game, and then you have 3 parts of that game, and you have to match all these guys within this amount of time, match all these guys, and then you have to make sure you have a max amount of time for all 3 of the things. So you want to get as fast done as you can, so that you have whatever left for this final thing, the final round, there's the word. So the final round. And brain fart. Oh, I couldn't get past level 5. It was a struggle to even get to level 5. I was not making the connections. My brain was not functioning to its best ability. And after supplementing the first day with Methlyene Blue, I made it to level 7. I was so much faster. My recall was so much better, and because I'm at Bellevue College for a Bachelor of Science, Cybersecurity. And it's dense. It's a dense field. And I've been struggling to keep up. Like, I'm still an A student. I'm still got my high 3.89. I don't know. I always say 8.9, but it's not. It's something within there. But anyway, it's a 3, not quite a 4.0. Like, I have a couple B's in there and like 1 C. But in any case, it's still been a struggle. Like, I've had to work a lot more than most students would. I'm having to put a lot more time and effort into it. And after supplementing with Methlyene Blue, my ability to retain information, my memory, my learning, my processing, my recall, let alone my communication with my other fellow students, with my teachers, with my instructors, with the counselors, everything was improved enough that other people were noticing it. But I also noticed that my ability to function was so much better. It also blew up some of my reports as well, because I had brain power. And so my last report I did for security class, and I did addendums and pictures and things in there too. I'm not saying this, but it was dense. My instructor had the audacity to say that we needed to have a report based for our lab, like we were following a scenario. And he said, I want an industry standard. I want you to do an industry standard vulnerability assessment. But we actually built the lab, so it was part of the scenario was like a company was hiring us as a cybersecurity team, and so we were actually setting up their small like 25 employee system. Okay, so we basically created a virtual lab for a Windows 11 enterprise, and then we had and these were virtual machines, so Windows 11 enterprise and a Windows 2002 come on brain, not database, what is it? Now I can't, dang nabbit, now I'm not remembering it, but it basically, dang it, can't remember. 2002. Okay, you have your client and you have your I was doing so good talking on a regular, straightforward. Maybe I've hit my limit here. Windows 11 Enterprise, it's a client, and then we had a Linux that was a client, and then we had the domain. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we had a domain. Anyway, pulling out information in that anyway, they said have an industry standard report of the scenario. And so when somebody says industry standard to me, I go and look up what the professionals are doing. I go look up what the high-end professionals are doing. I look up what the, what would be Department of Defense level, government level at their highest, whether that's actually what they do or not, but what their standards are. And so, and we were following certain guidelines, like the DOJ STIGs is what we were doing. Anyway, so yeah, it was 168 pages, included all the screenshots, all the troubleshooting, all the information. And I was actually very worried about the report because I felt like I had overkilled it, and I've gotten in trouble with that most of my life, actually. Is just that, like, they're like, whoa, this is overkill. And a lot of times I get the, oh, this is overkill. You did way too much. You don't need to do this. I don't want to read your report. And then I come to find out later on is that I was doing it the right way. So that's been a life lesson there. In a lot of my high school areas, I actually had teachers tell me that they didn't read my reports. They just looked for keywords and they knew that I had figured it out. Yeah, that was annoying. I had one biology teacher that actually read my report. And they came and talked to me and was like, normally I don't go through and read every single word of the report, but I started reading yours and I couldn't put it down. And you did a really good job. And that was like one of my first positive experiences with that. Like, oh, you did a lot more, rather than being like, you made me do so much work. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to be studying here. Anyway, so you tell me to do something industry standard, and let me tell you, I will do it industry standard. And not only that, but now I have the power of AI. Yeah. Booyah. And I have learned to work with AI to be very helpful. And mainly, I have to coach AI to not do dumb AI stuff, like just do what I ask you, please, okay? Look over my thing, look over my stuff. And I always have to say, use my verbs, use my words, use my way of speaking, use my tone, eventually I've come up with a pretty good, quite a few prompts that keep it within there so I can use it as a complex editor and advisor and not have it like take over my writing. It's like, if you put a long dash in there, I swear to God, Lord, please, will somebody take the dash out of the AI? Because at this point, everybody knows about the dash. So you can't even use the long dash in its correct grammatical sense because it just looks like your AI. So, I digress. The point is, I saw a lot of improvement with Methlyene Blue in my cognitive abilities and my body's way of doing things. So, and that progressed to learning about ketones. And then I supplement the ketones and then learn about the insulin. So, had moving all the way back to after day 3 of Sardines, that was not enough, apparently. And I still got into like some cherries as well as the fig. So I decided that, well, we'll just keep moving forward with the sardines and try and minimize the carbs, because my main goal is not just make it through a 3-day challenge. My main goal is to solve the insulin resistance. But a lot of what I've been reading, it takes a long time to actually solve the insulin resistance. Yeah. So with that note, now that I've talked for 45 minutes, yeah, sardines. Okay, thanks, bye.